Hello, and welcome to the New York City Public Schools supporting students with and without disabilities during after-school programs presentation. By the end of this session, you will be able to recognize common challenges and identify strategies that will assist students with disabilities as they participate in after-school programs. Let's take a look at some key areas of brain differences. Communication and language. Some students with disabilities demonstrate differences in verbal and nonverbal communication. Social skills. Some students may demonstrate challenges in interpreting social cues. Sensory processing. Some students may demonstrate heightened or reduced sensitivity to stimuli. Behavior. Some students may demonstrate repetitive actions or strong interests. Let's take a look at some common autism characteristics. This might include repetitive patterns of behavior and activities, difficulties with changes in routines and transitions, insistence on sameness or low frustration tolerance, difficulty with organizational skills, difficulty with transfer and generalization of skills, unusual responses to sensory information, and strong tendencies to be visual learners. Let's start with communication and language differences. Autistic students might have difficulties with following directions. This includes understanding and responding to spoken instructions. Understanding nonverbal communication, such as reading and using body language, facial expressions, and gestures. Gestures, which is another form of communication, includes pointing, nodding, or waving to communicate. Facial expressions. This includes recognizing emotions like happy, sad, or surprised from someone's face. Another form of communication includes body language. This includes the understanding of what someone's posture or movements mean. For example, like crossing your arms or leaning in. Let's take a look at some tips for helping with communication. This often includes using visuals, such as pictures, symbols, or written words that can make instructions clearer. Remember to be clear and specific. Give simple, concrete examples so that students understand what you mean. Remember to use positive language. Say what to do instead of what not to do. So, for example, say walk in the hallway instead of don't run. Remember to give extra time if needed. Some students need a little longer to process what you say. For example, try the 45-second rule. This includes pausing and giving them time to respond. Keep directions simple. Avoid giving too many steps at once. It's also helpful to have one speaker at a time. Too many people talking at once can be overwhelming. Have one person give directions at a time. Let's take a look at how to support non-speaking students with autism. Remember to be patient. Give them time to communicate. Use their communication systems. If they use a device, pictures, or gestures, encourage them to use it. Ask yes or no questions. This makes it easier for them to respond. Provide choices. Do you want this or that? Watch for nonverbal cues. Pay attention to their gestures, facial expressions, or body language. Encourage interaction. Include them in conversations and activities, even if they don't speak. And remember to respect their communication style. However they express themselves, make sure they feel heard and valued. Some individuals may have difficulties understanding social skills. Social skills help us connect with others and navigate everyday life. Conversational skills are examples and include things like starting or keeping a conversation going. This can be tricky. This may include practicing greetings, asking follow-up questions, or knowing when to change the topic. Reading social cues, understanding facial expressions, the tone of someone's voice, and body language helps us to know how others are feeling. Personal space. Everyone has their own comfort zone. Some may stand too close or too far from others without realizing it. Taking turns. In conversations, games, or group activities, remember to use signals like raising a hand or use a list. Some students may have difficulties understanding humor or sarcasm. Jokes, teasing, and sarcasm can be confusing. It's important to be clear and use direct language. Managing emotions in social situations is also a social skill. It's important to express emotions like frustration or excitement in a way that others understand. It's helpful to use self-regulation techniques like deep breathing or taking breaks. In the development of social skills, building friendships is just as important. Forming strong friendships takes practice. Use shared activities and finding common interests to help make the connections easier among students. Let's take a look at sensory processing. Many individuals process sensory input differently from their neurotypical peers. This means some children and adults experience sights, sounds, and other sensations more clearly, strongly, or less strongly than others. Things that seem everyday to most people can be overwhelming or barely noticeable to autistic individuals. Sensory processing is our ability to take in information through our senses, organize and interpret that information, and make a meaningful response. Let's take a look at some of the sensory systems. The auditory system. This helps us process sounds. Some kids are very sensitive to noise. What seems like a normal volume to you might feel too loud or even painful to them. Others may not notice sounds around them or might have trouble focusing when there's background noise. Everyday places like classrooms or stores can be overwhelming for them. The tactile system helps us understand touch, like how things feel on our skin. Some kids are very sensitive to touch and might find things like tags on clothes, messy hands, or certain fabrics really uncomfortable. Other kids may not notice touch as much and might seek out more pressure or enjoy touching lots of different textures. The vestibular system helps us with balance and movement. It helps us where our body is in space, like when we're spinning, swinging, or even just walking. Some kids might seek out lots of movement, like jumping or spinning, while others might avoid it because it makes them feel dizzy or uncomfortable. The olfactory system helps us process smells. Some kids may be very sensitive to smells that others barely notice. This includes perfume, cleaning products, or certain foods. These smells might bother them or even make them feel sick. Other kids might not notice strong smells at all, or they might enjoy smelling things more than usual. Stimming. Stimming is short for self-stimulating behaviors that can be repetitive moments or sounds that autistic children and adults do to help themselves feel calm, focused, or comfortable. Stimming is a natural way many people, especially though with sensory differences, manage their feelings and input. Examples of stimming include hand flapping, such as waving or flapping hands quickly, often when excited or overwhelmed, rocking back and forth, usually while sitting or standing, spinning, spinning in circles or spinning objects, repeating words or sounds, also known as echolalia. This would include repeating phrases, words, or even sounds over and over. Finger flicking or tapping is another stim. This would include repetitive movements with the fingers. Staring at lights or moving objects. This would include watching spinning fans, flashing lights, or moving patterns. Chewing on objects like shirt collars, pencils, or chew toys. Pacing, which would include walking back and forth. Humming or making sounds, sometimes softly, other times loudly. And sniffing objects, including repeatedly smelling items for comfort or curiosity, are also examples of stimming. Let's take a look at sensory considerations. Movement. Sometimes students need energizing breaks, but sometimes they need calming breaks. Remember to provide frequent movement breaks for students who need them. Have options for flexible seating and letting students move around or stand while they work and engage in activities. It's important to be responsive to students' needs. Allow for fidgeting and remember what is developmentally appropriate. Let's take a look at some auditory sensory considerations. Students can use noise-canceling headphones in loud spaces. Remember, challenging behavior can be a reaction to sensory input. For example, a student may have a meltdown every day before gym. It could be due to the gym being loud and overwhelming. Here are some examples of some spaces that can be loud and overwhelming for students within a school setting. In regard to behavior, everyone demonstrates a form of behavior. In particular, we want to take a look at four functions of behavior. Escape. This function occurs when a behavior is used to avoid or escape from something aversive, like a task, situation, or interaction. For example, a child might engage in disruptive behavior to avoid doing homework. Attention. This function occurs when a behavior is used to gain attention, either positive or negative from others. For example, a child might throw a tantrum to get a parent's attention. Tangible. This function occurs when a behavior is used to gain access to a desired object or activity. So, a child might ask for a toy multiple times to obtain it. Sensory. This function occurs when a behavior is used to provide sensory stimulation or input, such as repetitive movements or self-stimulation. For example, a child might self-stimulate by rocking back and forth, as described previously. Let's take a look at some key support strategies, and often that can assist in preventing challenging behavior. Structure and predictability, priming, visual supports, movement breaks, and managing wait time. Structure is key. It's important to make information accessible. Creating simple schedules to help students understand what their day will look like is an wonderful strategy for supporting students with autism. It's important to provide structure and predictability. Make expectations clear. First, we are going to wash our hands. Then, we are going to eat our snacks. Provide choices when you can. Do what you want to draw or read a book. Priming is another strategy that's used to support individuals with autism. What is priming? Priming is being told about something that is going to happen before it happens. Why should you use priming to help students? Well, it decreases student anxiety, stress, and problem behaviors. It provides students with concrete skills to use during unexpected events. Students become familiar with the new event or experience, which then increases the likelihood they will learn and use key concepts. Priming is most effective when it is built into the student's daily routine. Transitions and routines are often areas where individuals who are neurodiverse or with autism need support. Providing structure and routine is a great way to assist them in navigating their environment, along with the strategy below, such that we're going to describe as positive phrasing. Remember, this was discussed earlier. It's really important to tell students what to do as opposed to what not to do. Use positively phrased directions. Directly state expectations. State what students should do and avoid negatives such as don't, no, and stop. First then boards are a wonderful way to support students in understanding expectations, helping them navigate their environment, and helping them understand what is going to be happening during specific routine-based activities or transitions. Using simple statements and demands followed by a reward to increase the desired behavior is systematic and supportive, especially when using first then visual supports. Schedules are another wonderful tool in supporting individuals in understanding what their day was going to look like and what the expectations are. Using schedules at summarizing or after school can set expectations up for your students. Schedules can increase independence in your students. Priming is embedded in schedules as students will understand the expectations and what will be happening. And visual supports are embedded in schedules for students to understand the desired expectations and outcomes for the day. Visuals are a wonderful tool in supporting individuals. Visual supports auditory processing. They can help limit the amount of spoken language needed to process the information that's being presented, and visuals come in many different formats. Visual supports include pictures or written words, objects within the environment, visual boundaries, schedules, maps, labels, organization systems, timelines, and scripts. Waiting is a skill that is often difficult for many. Waiting can make everyone anxious and frustrated. We can't always plan for waiting. Think about how you feel when your lunch is late and you're hungry. Think about how you feel when the computer doesn't work and you can't play your favorite game. Think about how you feel when you're waiting for a favorite activity and the teacher is late. It's really helpful to have activities available to help students manage their wait time. What are some helpful activities that we can use to help students manage their wait time? Drawing activities that include paper and crayons, games that might include I Spy, tic-tac-toe, would you rather, charades, what's missing. Here, you can show the students a group of items, ask them to close their eyes, and then take an item away. Rhyming games and Simon Says are also fun activities to help students manage their wait time. Remember to provide behavior-specific praise immediately after observing the desired behavior or the use of a learned skill. Remember to use the student's name. Use language that is developmentally appropriate and culturally responsive. Describe the behavior or skill in a clear language. Ask students if your feedback is helpful or comfortable. Please remember to make sure that you praise students more than you correct them. For additional contact information, you can reach out to Autism Programs at autismprograms@schools.nyc.gov, Specialized Programs at specializedprograms@schools.nyc.gov, or the Special Education Office inbox at specialeducation@schools.nyc.gov. Thank you very much for attending our presentation.